Previously on Gaming Legends. After spending an entire month locked in the tomb of their ancestors, Jak and Daxter finally took down the metalhead leader despite their knee troubles. Unfortunately, their illegal use of a Titan suit landed them in hot water with the Haven City Council. For the crime of pressing the jump button, Jak and Daxter were banished to the wasteland. Fortunately, King Damus of Spargus has given them a chance to redeem themselves. Can you beat Jak III without jumping? Just like last time, the rules are based on the Daxterous Performance Trophy from the PS5 version of Jak I. Any action that uses the X button while on the ground or the L1 button while in a vehicle is banned. That includes normal jumps, crouch jumps, roll jumps, the punch to uppercut combo, jumping with the Jetboard, and jumping with a car or zoomer. Anything that doesn't use these buttons, as well as actions performed off the ground such as double jumps or pole jumps, are fair game. Pressing X from the surface of water is also not a jump, and will instead be called a dolphin. Additionally, the level select menus and hero mode are banned, since they require you to beat the game beforehand. We're using a completely fresh memory card for this. And finally, in an attempt to reinstate my honor after Jak II, debug mode cheat codes are completely banned this time, even for stuff I already did. Without further ado, let the run begin. As usual, our main jump replacement is the crouching uppercut, performed by pressing the square button while crouching. It gives decent height, but lacks distance on its own. If we want more distance, we can do an uppercut from the edge of a platform for a boosted uppercut. And if we want more height, we can do a super dive attack by holding X during a dive. With these abilities, we can easily collect all the tokens in the arena and unlock the scatter gun. Combat is largely unaffected by jumplessness, so the arena battle is no problem. Near the end of the battle is a scripted Dark Jak transformation. Dark Jak can uppercut just fine, but only when the Dark Eco meter is empty enough. The moment we talk to Damus and get the Blaster mod, we simultaneously unlock the Dark Blast ability. This attack is performed with the uppercut input, insta-kills all nearby enemies, and uses up the entire meter. This makes Dark Jak a lot riskier than in Jak II. After winning our first war amulet, Cleaver hires our services as Kangarat exterminators. You're supposed to use the Leaper Lizards for this, whose jumps are just as illegal as Jak's. Thankfully, the Kangarat's pods are always on ground level, so we can easily beat both this mission and the satellite minigame. We then have to do a race with Cleaver in the desert, but first we have to earn our driver's license. And guess what part of the exam entails? Mission failed! Now let's cheat.
We can skip the driving tutorial, but first we need to load a save file from before leaving the arena. Walk just far enough into the doorway to set a new checkpoint, then immediately run back into the arena and use the lava to burn and die. You'll respawn in the hallway past the trigger for the Cleaver cutscene. The garage door is locked during the Kangarat and satellite missions, but skipping the cutscene ensures that neither mission officially starts. This means we're free to explore the desert to our heart's content. Unfortunately, since we haven't done the driving tutorial, we don't have access to any of the vehicles, not even the Tough Puppy. We have to cross the entire desert on foot, a crime punishable by vehicular manslaughter. Thankfully, any approaching marauders will despawn if you look away from them fast enough. And if one happens to slip through the cracks, you can easily take it out with the blaster.
Our ultimate destination is the Monk Temple on the southeastern island, which houses several missions from later in the game we could potentially skip to. Unfortunately, that island is only accessible via a trail of several smaller islands, and the gaps between them are too wide to clear on foot. The intended way across is with the Dune Hopper and its massive jumps, but I'm sorry, what was that last word again? The next best option would be to swim over, but the giant squid in the water has other plans. Luckily, I know how to bypass him. Head over to the desert racetrack and walk over the bridges to this island. Drop down off the cliff and you'll see a spot where a colorblind programmer at Naughty Dog left a gap in the water plane. If you walk through this hole, Jak will swim along the ocean floor, making himself invisible to the squid. From here, you'll need to swim all the way along the coastline to the south. Keep an eye on your positioning as you go. Too far right and you'll hit shallow water and resurface prematurely. Too far left and you'll fall off the edge of the world. Either way, you'll have to start over from the garage to try again. Once you pass the southern ruins, keep going west until you reach a low poly shoreline. The small islands are missing since we bypass a loading trigger, but they'll still be marked on the minimap. Follow them to ensure that the temple area loads, and once you reach Temple Island, press X to dolphin and then double jump onto dry land. All that stands between us and the temple is a massive waterfall, which you still need the dune hopper for. Mission failed. Now let's cheat harder. There is a strategy to get past the waterfall, but we need to upgrade our inventory first. Specifically, we need the level 2 red gun, aka the wave concussor. This weapon is unlocked in the mission Earn Second War Amulet later in Act 1, but we can't play that far without going through the driving tutorial. But we might be able to get around this using a trick called percentage warps. If we can skip to a later mission early, it will mark every prior mission as complete and give us the rewards for those missions. The most promising option for a percentage warp is destroy eggs in nest, the trigger for which is found in this cave and is always active. The cave entrance is blocked by some giant metalhead eggs, so we need a way around it. There are two methods of executing cave skip on foot, both of which were used during the infancy of Jak III speedrunning. Unfortunately, one of them requires the wave concussor in the first place, and the other requires the use of a crouch jump. I tried following the latter route, but the furthest I could get was to this rock. I was able to uppercut from here, but couldn't get a good enough landing for a super dive. Mission failed, for real this time. The on-foot cave skip method would theoretically only require a single crouch jump. Unfortunately, I'm bad at video games and couldn't even do that. So instead, I loaded my other save and did the driving tutorial. One jump to get into the ring, and one jump to get out. There's another tutorial prompt for jumping while turning, but if you hold L1 on the second jump, the game will still let you proceed just by steering. With Jak finally getting his driver's license, we can win the race against Cleaver and collect artifacts in the desert, the latter unlocking our first health upgrade. The next mission in line is another race, this time with Seam on some leaper lizards. I was able to get a decent way into the track, but there's one ring that is absolutely impossible to reach without jumping.
Thankfully, now that we have a car unlocked, we can do a much easier version of cave skip. Drive up to the cave entrance, exit the car, stand on the top of it, and spin repeatedly. By doing this, we're overlapping the hitboxes in such a way that the collision on the cave entrance will be displaced with each spin. By the time the tough puppy is at 1 HP, there's a big enough gap that we can just drive straight through.
Once we reach the heart of the cave, the mission officially begins. It's pretty hard to shoot the eggs with the tough puppy, considering it doesn't have any guns, but if we die while on foot, we can respawn with the healer stomper and finish the mission as intended. More importantly though, we now have 3 new cars and 3 new weapons unlocked, including the wave concussor. Whenever Jak shoots the wave concussor, the recoil pushes him upwards slightly, allowing for enhanced vertical mobility. Now we can swim back to Temple Island and take another crack at the waterfall. I highly recommend stocking up on red ammo first, as well as buying increased red ammo capacity in the secrets menu. By spamming shoot and spin, we can essentially hover, allowing us to use the rocks on the cliffside to cross the waterfall and reach the temple. Our first task here is to climb the Monk Temple Tower, which is a piece of cake with the abundance of poles to swing off. Once we reach the top, we have a glider section where I couldn't even jump if I tried. However, the glider drops you off in the volcano where you're supposed to unlock Dark Jak invisibility. Just after the first checkpoint is a leaper lizard we're expected to mount, and we can't clear the lava without using its jumps. The only way back to the temple is with a warp gate, which is blocked by a sentry that we can only bypass with invisibility. Fission mailed! Now let's heat Chada. If we reload our save back at the temple entrance, we can use the wave concussor to clip inside this pillar from above. From here, we can get out of bounds and reach the hallway in the temple proper, bypassing the sentry. The bad news is, we skipped unlocking invisibility by doing this, which means we have trouble dealing with these guys. The good news is, we can still take them out with a Dark Blast before they can kill us. Plus, upon reaching the first checkpoint, we officially percentage warp past the volcano mission, unlocking invisibility in the process. Just a few pole jumps later, we meet the Oracle and unlock Light Jak Heal. The next mission is back on the mainland, but there's nowhere we can swim out of bounds from this side. Thankfully, if we immediately destroy our car without boarding it, we instantly respawn back at the garage. After defending Ashland at the Oasis, we received the single most important tool in our arsenal, the Jetboard. One out-of-bounds swim back to the temple later, which goes by quicker with the Jetboard and the Turbo Jetboard in Desert secret, and we're ready for the Monk Temple tests. And to address the comments pointing out that I probably could have skipped straight to this mission earlier, or better yet to the Rescue Scene mission in Act 3, prove it! The Jetboard tutorial thankfully doesn't have an explicit button prompt to follow, instead just requiring us to collect all the Tide Pods. Most of them are pretty easy to reach, and the ones above land we can just uppercut to. There were 2 high up tokens that are supposed to teach you how to high jump and flip, but the floor is conveniently flooded, allowing us to dolphin and double jump up to them. There's also one above a grind rail, but we can dismount the board for some extra height, then climb back up for the rest of the path. Once the door opens though, we're in a bit of a pickle. The ledge is too high for a dolphin, and board dismounts don't give you nearly enough height. But if we dolphin, double jump, spin, and fire the wave concussor, we can just barely make it up and proceed to the Oracle. This is where we unlock the Light Jak Flash Freeze, a move that slows down time. But I've got bad news. Light Jak can't crouch, and therefore can't do a crouching uppercut. So how are we supposed to cross these spinning platforms? Well, thankfully, Light Jak can still handle guns, though only if there's still some light eco left in the tank. Using the wave concussor, we can just barely reach the first platform, then ledge grab on the second, use that to get a double jump into a super dive, and make it all the way across. After that is some more jetboarding, this time with incomplete rails to grind on. The first one has some ledges on the side of the wall we can use to bypass it. The second, though, has a gap in the middle and nothing but death planes surrounding it. Fortunately, these rails are solid enough for Jak to walk on. If we walk all the way to the end of the first rail, we can use an uppercut and concussor shot to land on the second and walk the rest of the way. More concussor shots get us through the fan blade section up to the final checkpoint of the level. The moment you step on this bridge, it crumbles away. I tried using the wave concussor here, but no matter what I did, I just couldn't outrun the rubble. You know what did work though? Just spamming punches all the way across without any height gaining actions whatsoever. So much red ammo wasted on this section.
While the Doctor questions his life choices, we get to take a relaxing sub-rail trip to the eco mines. The mine exterior doesn't have any major roadblocks, but the inside is a different story. After kicking the third Kangarat into a flywheel, we have to cross these fast-moving platforms. If we're not absolutely perfect with our movement, we're not hitting them. After several failed attempts, we can make it all the way across and grab another health upgrade. The bomb train escort mission goes by very easily, bringing us to the boss fight with Vega's precursor robot.
And boy is this not an easy fight. We can dodge the shockwaves with uppercuts, but the window to do so is surprisingly short, especially in Phase 3 when it starts spamming them faster. To actually deal damage, we need to shoot the minecarts while standing on the 4th or 5th pillars, but we can only reach the 3rd pillar in a single super dive. And while we're trying to climb up, the robots will constantly be shooting towards us, making it hard to get all the shots in one cycle. But not impossible, and with just a little bit of luck, we can blow up the final minecart, take out the robot, and unlock the Arc Wielder. With Act 1 complete, we finally reach Haven City, where I decided to make a backup save. This won't be relevant later, don't worry about it. In the meantime, we have to go through the sewer to reunite with some old friends. We can use a board dismount to easily get up this half pipe. A short way in though, we come across a pipe we have to grind on, and it's too high up to reach with a grounded jetboard. Not only that, but there's a waterfall directly beneath it, and the current tends to interfere with Jak's position. But if we uppercut from further upstream, we can safely land on the pipe and walk to the edge. From there, we can just barely make it to the other side and mount the board to fight the current. There's another such pipe later on in the level, but we can mount the board mid-air after a super dive to ride it. Just make sure you dismount at the end, otherwise you'll get stuck on the rail. The rest of the path has no issues, bringing us to the port. After an easy fight with some blast bots, we let Daxter have a solo mission. Based on prior experience, I expected this to be bad news. And I was half right, the missile has a jump button we're not allowed to press. But that doesn't make the mission impossible. The atoms are all at ground level, have no time limit to collect them, and there are ramps we can use to get onto dry land. The only hard part about this mission is surviving, but there's a checkpoint halfway through. After 20 minutes of attempts, I was able to grab the last atom and steer the missile straight into the barrier. After taking out the sniper cannons and doing a gun course to unlock the gyro burster, we head back into the sewer for some more platforming. This time the main obstacle is these gas jets, which have a very short cycle, but we can just barely clear them with uppercuts if we time it right. We do have to play jump rope with a turret halfway through, but I prefer to play uppercut rope. The water section is a cakewalk with the use of dolphins, letting us reach the Metalhead City. Our first task here is to take out the Dark Eco tanks, all of which are on high towers. Thankfully, they all have air-shooting plants nearby that launch Jak high enough to spin the tanks. This leads us into South Haven Forest, where we need to destroy some dark plants. Physically reaching them isn't hard, but we need the jetboard to carry the green eco. The moment we dismount, all our green eco disappears. Thankfully, every cluster has a jumplessly accessible eco vent somewhere nearby. The next few missions in Haven City are no more difficult than a casual playthrough, and we even unlock the Peacemaker, Needle Laser, and Plasmite RPG along the way. We do need to make one more trip into the sewer to find a power switch, which has the same obstacles as the previous visit. These lasers look daunting, but turns out you can just roll under them. And you can skip the disappearing platforms here by just jetboarding upstream. That doesn't work for these waterfalls, which are too steep to board up. Instead, you'll need to climb the escalators with super dives and the wave concussor. The Pac-Man minigame isn't any different, but I was informed by the chat that you can apparently move faster by holding X. The game never told me that was a thing. With nothing else to do in Haven, we head back to Spargus to collect more artifacts. We're forced to use the Sand Shark, which isn't very jump happy, but that doesn't mean the mission is free. The direct route between artifacts goes across several broken bridges. Most of them you can just barely cross with speed alone, albeit with a close call. One, however, is slightly less accessible. Thankfully, we have enough time to take a detour up the dunes instead. Also, when the mission was done, I had quite possibly the flashiest garage entry ever. After defending Spargus from an army of catapults, we're immediately forced into the mission to take out Marauder Stronghold. Unfortunately, we need to reach the Marauder Stronghold in the first place, and the game forces the damn dune hopper on us. We can't even hop out to even test if we can make it on foot, and the garage door is locked from the inside until we hop in. Mission failed. Now let's cheat hardest. Remember that backup save I made back when I first entered Haven? If we load it and head into the northeast part of this area, we can find a ramp leading into the canal. If we approach this ramp while on the jetboard with enough speed, we can get just enough height off here to do an air trick, which means hover glitch, baby!
If you do a left and L1 trick while only moving the stick halfway, you can then cancel the trick animation with another trick. By mashing up and L1 at this time, we can get infinite height in the direction we're moving. Using the hover glitch and some mid-air concussor shots to course correct, we can land in the hallway leading to Palace Ruins. And by triggering the cutscene here, we can percentage warp all the way from the start of Act 2 to the final missions of the game, also unlocking all remaining weapons, dark and light jack powers, and health upgrades.
Not that we can actually use all of it. The light jack wings are technically allowed, but they can only be used while in a double jumping state, and the only way to legally do a double jump is from a ledge grab, which are surprisingly rare over bottomless pits. Thankfully, I found a solution to skip the first required wing section. Using the wave concussor, we can hug the wall around to a side area with a precursor orb, then hug the wall further to get back on the main path. There's thankfully a checkpoint here, so we only have to do this once. We can use the same strategy to bypass some of the grind rails, but the final checkpoint of Palace Ruins is where things get tricky. The grind rails have gaps in them that are too wide to clear with the jetboard, and the walls here aren't accessible, so we can't go around them. There is another route that Zyphals found that uses the slippery rocks around this building, but I wasn't able to replicate this for myself. Fortunately, I was able to get another jumpless hover with this piece of rubble, which let me skip all of the remaining rails. From here, we enter the infamous Breakthrough Ruins, where we have to destroy several towers using the ramrod. Yes, that is what it's called. The only part that theoretically requires jumping is the final section, with the towers being on separate islands. Thankfully, if you drive into the trench and up the ramp, you'll find the first of many bridges we can knock down, making BTR an absolute breeze. For the most part. After chasing Vega through the subrails, we reach the Dark Ship. The only path out is across this pipe with rotating platforms. Unfortunately, they move way too fast to uppercut across. We could slow them down with light jack freeze, but the wave concussor doesn't give us enough height to move between platforms. And besides, I wanted to save my light eco for the end of the mission, which thankfully we can skip straight to. Using the bottom of the doorway, I was able to get a jumpless hover that was low enough to clear the door, but high enough to go out of bounds. Using the map as a guide and some mid-air concussor spins to slow my fall and course correct, I aimed for the elevator shaft. If you hit the shaft too low, you'll fall into the void and die, or worse, crash the game. But if you enter from high enough, you'll hit the trigger to end the timer and spawn on the other side of the level. All that remains is the escape sequence on the collapsing bridge, which should be easy enough with Light Jack free.
Come again for Big Fudge?
Turns out the Light Jack wings in the cutscene used up all of our light eco, so we're forced to play this part at full speed. Fortunately, the Jetboard is fast enough to clear each piece of rubble before it falls, and dismounting it lets you reach the next piece. By the skin of our teeth, we can make it all the way to the portal. There are no true roadblocks in the final boss fight, so feel free to buy as many secrets as you have orbs for. I personally went all in on ammo capacity, using supernovas to clear out the enemies and needle lasers to hit the Darkmaker. With the alien invasion thoroughly repelled, the Jak III jumpless run ends with 2 jumps. If you want to watch the run, you can check out the livestream archives via the link in the description. Special thanks to the Jak speedrun community for their support in making this run mostly possible. Particular thanks to Zyphals for finding the wave concussor waterfall strat, and ThaRixer, whose Jak III speedrun documentary series helped me figure out the out-of-bounds swimming route. And additional thanks to my special guest for this video, James Wiley EXE.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Rank. In case the audience at home don't know me, I'm James. I'm most known for beating the Ratchet games without using gadgets, as well as beating Kingdom Hearts without attacking. If that interests you at all, do be sure to check me out.
And finally, I am proud to announce that I've been accepted into the Australian Speedrun Marathon 2026. I have 2 runs in the event this time: Monopoly Party, Classic Mode US-UK rules with an incentive to pick the board theme, and Wally PS2 100%. These runs will air on Wednesday the 15th of July at 8:40 PM Adelaide time, and Saturday the 18th at 10:10 AM respectively. Link to the full schedule, along with more info about the event, can be found in the description. That's all for now, and I will see you down under.